to the podcast. Today I have in studio Nicole Poulton. She is a rock star. She is an amazing financial coach. And we're sort of going to be doing this in a different format than we've ever done this podcast before, where usually I interview the healer that's making the difference, right? And then the healer tells us what they do and everything else. But in this case, Nicole's going to kind of like interview me and I'm going to interview her. And we're going to see how love and finances, which is our topic, goes together and how people can be helped through both having a financial coach as well as a spiritual fitness coach. So here we are. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, I'm so excited for this. It's been a long time coming.
So do you want to start by asking me any questions and then I'll ask you some questions?
Yeah. So first off, I love being guests on podcasts because I just think it's so fun to be able to like actually talk to people about just all of the things that they're interested in and stuff like that. So I'm super excited. To get started, I wanted to just open up the question with what is your background and how did you get started with coaching?
Thank you. Well, I have a background in public health. I have a master's in public health, and I worked in health plans and hospital systems for about 20 years in the New York area and New Jersey as well. And so really, I was consultant to doctors. And along the way, in my job at the New York City Health and Hospitals, I ended up running what's called a health literacy program for people who low literate, like a lot of immigrants and Chinese speaking people that were coming into the Lower East Side for care. They, didn't have, a lot of means. And so we basically brought in volunteers and taught them to talk to people while they're waiting about their food labels and about how to manage their medication so they don't make errors. So that really inspired me because I saw the aha moment in their eyes, how they were learning simple things that are going to could possibly save their life or could possibly, they're learning portion sizes and just by pouring the cereal in the bowl and stuff like that, they see that they're eating multiple portions in one serving. And I got really inspired. And one of the people that was volunteering for me was at IIN grad, Institute for Integrative Nutrition. So I looked it up and I said, oh, I really want to do that. It's a health coach. So I became a health coach, but I kept working. And along the way, I also became what is called an intrinsic coach, a certified intrinsic coach, because I said to myself, I don't really want to work in the, government forever because they have very low pay. I want to go work for a health plan. So what kind of health coach job could I get for a health plan? And I found, I went on Indeed or something like that. And I found that they were health plans, major ones was looking for this title, certified intrinsic coach. So that really changed my life. The certified intrinsic coach program, it was 2 semesters. We were sitting in a group of 20 people on the phone. Okay. And each person was coaching the other. And we learned how to basically change someone's life in 6 minutes because everyone got only 6 minutes to coach each other.
That's amazing.
So I know. And I learned this aha moment, how to get someone to their aha moment very fast and efficiently. And I said, wow, this is great. But, I was thinking that I was going to help people lose weight. I had lost 40 pounds and kept it off for 4 years. And that was during the time I was pregnant and having babies. So I actually, when my second child was born, I weighed 40 pounds less than before I was ever pregnant. And it was because one day my friend handed me a book called, it was called The Paracone Wrinkle-Free Diet. And this diet really changed my life because I saw how people were in a short amount of time, let's say 3 days. They had a 3-day version and they had before and after pictures of their faces. And you could see their puffiness going away and they look younger. And I was like, this is incredible. How could this be? But I was 35. I wasn't worried about wrinkles. But I started to just follow this. And it's basically an anti-aging lifestyle. And I got so turned on to it because it was easy. This weight came off easy. I can't tell you, like my whole life I struggled. And this was just like, I wasn't starving. I was eating healthy food. I was having salmon and I wasn't having gluten and stuff like that, that it causes inflammation. So that's what inspired me really to become the food label maven. But after that, I was a food label maven for a while. Somebody introduced me when COVID happened. And it was just serendipity that I met someone named Russell Albert, who teaches this energy dynamics course. And before I even met Russell, I had this like epiphany that came to me. You know, I was in between jobs with my health coaching, with my consulting, because I'm a healthcare consultant. So after I had like actually made my business, Health Coach Link LLC, I created it and everything, I had no clue how to run a business, like how to become an entrepreneur and really make a living out of it. I had no clue at all because I'd always worked. And so I was like, literally, this goes back to the money mindset, because I was like literally struggling. Like for the first 3 years, we moved to New Jersey. And I had been a former CDC research fellow. I got a CDC Partners in Public Health Award. I was somebody who was accomplished, but here I was without a job, having no clue how to run a business. And I found myself driving around delivering food with DoorDash. Okay. And I found myself changing baby diapers. I mean, like literally, I was doing anything I could. I was subbing at Jewish daycares. And I mean, it was a fun time, but it was the most financially stressful time in my life, because I would go through a day where I'm running around and I make $40 and then I pick up the kids from school and then I take them out to eat because I'm just like, whatever, or I pay gas. And I'm like, that's my gas money for today. What in the heck? And it was really a scarcity mentality. And this is what we're going to talk about today when we really, after this fireside chat, we're doing a workshop. For those of you just listening to this, we're going to be doing a workshop where we're going to take people's scarcity mentality and we're going to crush it. And we're going to turn it into an abundance mentality. But that's what I struggled with. And but along the way, COVID happened and I got a job during COVID. I mean, I was making money. It wasn't a job. It was a consulting gig for my business. I was working with New Jersey life insurance. I mean, not life insurance. It was a New Jersey health insurance company, working with the doctors, consulting them about their quality of care. And I thought, oh, great. Finally I'm good. But everyone else was struggling and I wasn't. And I started saving because you know what? That time of being broke for those 3 years, it did have a good effect on me in that I saved 20%. I was putting away 20% of everything I earned that year with my consulting contract. And then I went to visit my parents, who I hadn't seen the whole COVID. It had been like a year in Texas. And I brought the kids and we were splurging. And I've come to find out that my boss calls and says that we're not renewing the contract. The year is over. And I'm like, how much notice do I have? Oh, the end of the week. And it was like Wednesday. But it wasn't just me. The other person on the contract got dumped too. So I didn't feel so bad. But it was just like they weren't the health plan no longer needed the consulting firm that we worked for. So I was like, oh, very nice. That's okay. I have this mentality that I'm going to now just focus on my business, whatever that means. Like, and I had this, the epiphany is that I saw people with a mask and they had like a mask on, but they had fear in their eyes. It was like, and I said, this is the way people live now. This is the way we have to live. This is not acceptable. I said, and then the term came to me, what is it? What should people be feeling instead of this fear? Is that they should be feeling spiritual fitness. Spiritual fitness. And I said, what is that? So I Googled it. And then I found out nobody had spiritual fitness coaching. So I called a lawyer. I got the trademark. And that became spiritual fitness coaching. But then I met Russell. And then I learned the energy dynamics and I incorporated it with my intrinsic coaching. And that's what I do now.
Wow. Isn't it crazy how just things happen out of life experiences and they just blossom into something amazing?
Yes.
Wow.
And I just want to encourage those of you who are struggling financially right now with this economy. You know, it's like I tell my clients, you know, what we're going to do today in the exercise later on today is, you know, our subconscious mind doesn't accept the idea that I might fail, I might be broke, you know? And so, but in the meantime, we're telling ourselves, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be successful. And we're trying to say that mantra, but our subconscious mind is holding us back because it doesn't really believe it or has some reservations, you know, because of the past, because of things that have happened. And you kind of have to be okay with both possibilities. You kind of have to like let it go, because this is how you're able to then take risks. And I mean, I've taken so many risks since that time when my contract ended. I paid for a business coach, and I'm paying good money for her. And I also paid for a health coach, because even though I'm a health coach, I want to be at my best shape. I want to look in the mirror and love what I see. And so if I want people to hire me, I want to hire my own coach, because that just shows that I believe in it. And I do, because with her, I've already lost 12 pounds, but like I couldn't, even though I knew all this knowledge and I'd done it in the past, I was just like, my mind was too cluttered to get it together, you know? And just like you say, Nicole, is that you have to have a budget, but you have to have also a time budget for your life. What am I going to do when I wake up in the morning? And that's what was missing for me. So when I'm putting these things together, like I become a lot more successful, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Well, they say like a coach with like, what is a coach without a coach? You know, so when I was getting going with my business, I definitely had a business coach and someone to just like hold you accountable. And when you're not like, when you're the person who's in the situation, your brain and your emotions are tied together. So logically, you might know what to do, but emotionally, you might be scared, or you know, there's just some kind of internal conflict, whether it's with your subconscious mind not believing that you can do it, or there's all these limiting beliefs. It could be so many reasons, but having a third party, just a coach who has your best interest in mind, definitely is someone that can like actually guide you along the path that you need to take according to like your specific goals. So it's not like them taking their goals and what they want for you. It's exactly what you want, and they just help you get there.
Yeah. So Nicole, I'd love to hear your story. I'm sure you have an amazing story.
Don't we all? I mean, yeah, with financial coaching, it's definitely, it's kind of funny. Like as a kid, I always loved finances and I love numbers. I love counting money. I would go in my dad's wallet and like just sneak count all of his cash. He thought I was stealing it. I wasn't. Just loved counting it. And then, yeah, when I was around 13, 14, I started helping my dad and some of his friends and people that we knew. I started helping prepare their taxes. Obviously, a CPA went over them to double check and everything like that. But I just thought it was so fun to just play with numbers and spreadsheets. And I was that nerd who just loved numbers. And so growing up, I had a very good education around finances and everything. And then ultimately, I didn't realize that this is something that could benefit people until I was talking with my boyfriend, now husband, a couple of years ago. When we started to get serious in our relationship, I started asking him, like, I knew that he had gone to school and he had taken out some student loans. And so it was like kind of that time to start talking about like, okay, where are we at? And I asked him how much he had in student loans. And he said he borrowed about $67,000. So he thought like probably around 70 grand, somewhere around there, which I was like, that's a lot of money, like $70,000. Oh my gosh. And then we decided, like, as we started to get more serious, I was like, well, maybe I can like help you with this a little bit. And so we really dug into his personal finances, and like I said, he thought he had $67,000. After I looked at everything, he had $115,000 because, yeah, because all of those loans that he had borrowed had just sat there, and he thought that putting them on deferment meant that he just didn't have to touch them. But the interest was growing for years, and he had no idea. He didn't know the difference between a variable rate and a fixed rate. And that's nothing against him. It's just people don't always have the right financial literacy that they need, because we just aren't taught it in school. Like, it's just, and maybe they have classes now. I know there's only 6 states in the country that require a personal finance class to graduate. So like 44 states are missing out on just a simple basic personal finance course for teenagers. So then going into college, you can give an 18-year-old thousands of dollars of debt, and they have no idea what that really means. And so he didn't know the difference between a variable rate and a fixed rate. And so some of his loans were the highest student loan rates I've ever seen. By the time we were refinancing or consolidating his debt, he had one that was 13% interest and one that was 15% interest on a student loan. Like, that's unheard of. And yeah, so it was growing so fast that basically we consolidated, and finally was able to like get a hold of it. And ultimately he thought that his debt would be like, he would die with his debt. And that just made me so sad, because it's not just unique to him. So many people believe this, where it's just okay to go about their day and, extend credit for literally everything. Like, people can have like their beds on credit, couches, cars, houses, everything under the sun can be put on credit. And I mean, no judgments or anything like that, but that's just not the way that I wanted to live. And because I was very interested in Denton, I'm like, well, that's not the way that we're going to live. So we decided to really take a hold of this. And I wanted him to have like the complete feeling of accomplishment to take over these loans. So I helped him build the plan, but ultimately it's up to him to walk the plan. And I'm like that backboard along the way to keep him going and to keep him motivated. And when he's stuck, get him unstuck and all this stuff. And flash forward 2 years later, right around when COVID hit, he had paid off half of his debt. And that's not because he has like some crazy high income. It's just through the strategies that we've been able to implement and actually being smart with how to pay it off. There's definitely a right and a wrong way to pay off debt. And basically, after this whole journey of his is over, he'll go from thinking that he was going to die with his debt to paying off this debt within 3.5 years.
Wow.
Amazing. But it didn't really click for me that this is something I should be doing yet. I just thought like, oh, this is my boyfriend and I love him. Like, I'm going to help him with this. It wasn't until COVID hit that his parents had been watching us do this and watching their son's progress over the 2 years. And they saw like how real it was. COVID hit, and my father-in-law is a pilot. And obviously with COVID, airlines, like flights just stopped. All hiring for all airlines came to a halt. So there was no new students, and my father-in-law is an instructor for pilots. So on top of no flying, there's also no students. So his income dropped 60%. And I know that there's a lot of people out there who lost income, lost jobs altogether. So they were very fortunate to still have some income. But his wife, was like a stay-at-home mom, and she didn't really have an income. And then they had just their lifestyle, how as you get raises and get more income, your lifestyle just grows with it. Mm-hmm. So then reducing 60% of your income, that you're just kind of like in one of those like, oh shit moments. And there's just nothing, like there's nothing you can do really. And there's just like, well, what do we pay for? Food or the house or the cars? It's like, what do we do? And so they were in such a hard spot that I'm so grateful they reached out to me and they were like, what would you do? And so I looked through all of their financials and I spoke with them and got to know like really what their problem points were and what their goals were and everything like that. And I put them on a path that personally, like I would have done, because I wasn't like a coach. I wasn't trained as a coach yet. I just had this education for finances. So it was like, this is just what makes sense to me. If I was you guys, this is what I would do. And as we all know, COVID really hit March of 2020. So here we are almost 2 years later. Oh my gosh, that's
Wow.
crazy. 2 years later almost. And now they are actually better off than they were pre-COVID. Wow. Their income has increased compared to what they were pre-COVID. Their debt, they've taken care of everything but their house, and they have like a trailer. Before they had like 2 cars on credit. They had tons of credit cards. They had like solar panels that they had on credit. They had just redone their hardwood flooring. They had redone their shower. So they had a ton of debt. And just having this awareness and this plan, it's amazing. Their transformation is just so amazing. And I wasn't even trying. I was just like genuine, just like, hey, this is what I would do. Like, I'm so sorry you're in this spot, but like, this is what has to be done to keep your house. Like they had gone delinquent on their house payments. They were paying credit cards before their house. And I'm just like, you guys, look at what's going on. And so, yeah. So once I helped my in-laws, that's when it really clicked for me of like, this is information that's just common knowledge to me, but it's not common knowledge to everyone. This is not information that everybody has. Obviously, you can get any information for free on the internet, but right. There's so much noise on the internet that it's like, who do I listen to? What do I listen to? What works for me? What doesn't work? What's a scam? You have no idea how to filter it out. And so I think that that's where a lot of people get stuck. And then maybe because there's so much, you just shut down. And it's just like, I'm not going to take any of it in. I'm just, this is working for now. But it's like my goal in reality, like, I really want to be able to, I love the idea of complete freedom. I'm the kind of person where it's like, you don't tell me what to do. I'm going to do what I want, that kind of stuff. So when someone tells me that they, like going and getting an auto loan, well, the thought of someone being able to just track my car and come and hook it up to a trailer and take it away legally, just because I miss one payment, they can repo my car. That doesn't sit well with me intellectually, but it also doesn't sit well emotionally. And in reality, like, finances are really intertwined with our emotions, even though we don't like to think that. They really, really are. Like, total little side tangent, but like, if you look at the stock market, the people that really, really make it well in the stock market have to suppress their emotions. They have to stop that, like, oh my gosh, my stock is dropping, I have to sell right away, that fear, or, that whole side of things. So it's the people that can really block the emotions who can actually succeed with their finances. And that's why it's so nice to have a coach, because you can't always do it for yourself, but your coach doesn't have that emotional investment in your own dollar bills like you do, but they have your best interest at heart. So they know where you want to go. They know your pain points, but they don't have that emotional block that you might. And so that's when I thought, like, okay, I've been able to help myself, honestly, because you are your own first client. I've been able to help my boyfriend get out of massive debt. I've been able to help my in-laws keep their house during COVID when, they lost 60% of their income, and it's insane. I'm like, wow, this is really something that people need. And so after a couple months, post-COVID, I started to get actual coaching training to see like how to actually interact with people and let them feel comfortable to open up about their finances. Cause this is not something people talk about. Like, if you really think about it, when was the last time you had a real heart-to-heart conversation about your financial problems with even like your closest friends? Like, we just don't talk about it. Like, hopefully you have those conversations at least with your spouse or significant other, that it's a financial situation where you're working together. Hopefully those conversations are happening, but just the chances are they're not happening anywhere else. And so that education just doesn't come from our peers. And I mean, you can go and hire these like, an accountant, but typically you see your accountant around tax time and they tell you things after the fact of, you made this much last year. This is how much you owe in taxes for last year. They don't really look to the future, unless you're being really strategic. But most of the time, like, it's just kind of like you have to figure it out on your own. And I figured, like, I have this education that it seems so common knowledge to me, but it's just not. Like, at the end of the day, it's not common knowledge. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. Like, it's not a bad thing that some people haven't gotten this education yet, but it is their responsibility to move forward and get this education. Because if we want to win with money, and I don't know a single person that's like, no, I have enough money, I don't want to make a dollar more. Like, that's not real. Everybody wants more income, or they want to be able to protect the income that they have, or, everybody wants more. And without actually educating yourself or getting these other financial skills, there's no way to do that. And so I like to do it in a way where it doesn't feel like you're just like bored, like learning, just like watching something that's just like financial literacy. Like, that sounds so boring. But in reality, like, when it's your own numbers and it's your own money and you can see your own progress, there's something that just, it gets you so excited. Because really, like, growth is what happiness comes from. Seeing our progress. Like, you can have a huge accomplishment and it makes you happy, but like, it doesn't keep you happy forever. It's that next accomplishment. There's always a next level. There's always a next step for everyone. Same thing with your finances. And so once I realized that and I got the training, it's just like, this has just been my calling. And it's so nice that I've been able to actually figure out how to use it. Because before, it's like, nobody wants to just, I don't know, listen to some random person be like, oh, do this with your money. But it's like actually learning how to filter it out and get what's really important for each individual. Because just my general knowledge, one size fits all for your finances just isn't real. And so giving you the education that you don't need or you already have is just a waste of everybody's time. And time is our most precious commodity. I say that all the time, but it's the one thing that, like, we can't get back. It's the one thing you can't buy. And it's the one thing that it's just equal. No matter who you are, where you are, it's that one thing that makes us all equal, is how much time we have. And so getting that time back, like, I saved Denton 17 years, which, by the way, also because of 17 years of debt payments and the interest accrued on 17 years of debt payments, he saved almost over $300,000 by the end of it, that he would have had to pay if he took the 20 years that he thought. So saving people time and money and making it fun and giving them skills to be able to do this for themselves forever, that's just like, it's what drives me. That's how I got started. It's just, it happened by accident. How funny is that?
That is amazing. Like you said before, serendipity and how things happen around you that like changes your life and helps you find your true purpose. I want to touch on the idea of love and finances, since that is the topic for today. How do you see that with your clients, or that you think that love and finances go together? What challenges do you see in that area?
Well, I'll go over in detail, like a lot deeper, when we actually get into the workshop, but there is so many things that are tied with love and finances together. Like, if we think about it, everybody knows half of marriages fail. Like, you get married, half of them get divorced. Of those people that get divorced, half of them get divorced because of financial troubles, financial fights, money fights. So 25% of marriages are failing because of finances. And nobody's addressing it. Nobody's teaching how to actually have that conversation with your spouse about money to where it doesn't become this argument. It's more of a constructive, how do we move forward? So I think that the financial side of things with your relationship it can be really messy because, this is just something we're never taught. Nobody was taught how to have a financial conversation, let alone a financial conversation with your significant other, and then on top of that, it can be so beautiful though, too, because building true wealth is easiest in a partnership. Like if you're doing it by yourself, by all means, it's possible, but doing it with someone else and you guys have these ideas and goals in alignment with each other, you'll be able to just exponentially grow so much faster than before. So then if you've got, husband, wife, or whoever is in this partnership and they're butting heads, you're not growing your wealth. You're arguing about things and it's no, this is my money. This is my money. There's the sharing problems of, it's supposed to be what's mine is yours and what's yours is ours. It's all the same. But in today's society, because that trust might not be there, because everybody knows half of marriages fail. So they go into it thinking that, well, we're going to just keep it separate just in case there's a divorce. But then in reality, there's just no trust there and you can't actually grow it together. Or I don't know, there's a term called financial infidelity. It seems very like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. But in reality, it's just like spending money that with intent, spending money with intent that your spouse would disapprove of. And you do it anyways. You just don't care. And so it's like things like this are causing so many problems within a relationship that just communication in general would, prevent or resolve depending on where you're at in the problem. You're muted.
Sorry about that. I'm trying to change my background. I had to switch rooms because, people came home. I get to work from home nowadays, and it's my biggest pleasure, to be able to not have to commute into work. I think it's like life is so much better when you can, just be able to work from home. If that's your dream and you're listening to this, Nicole and I think could help you achieve that goal. And if it's something that you want. So I wanted to just say, like, from my background, from my experience, I don't know if you like that background better.
That San Francisco, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Is that, I do work with a lot of singles and older singles, and I've noticed that they are afraid to get into a relationship because they don't feel financially ready, or they don't feel like, they've come to a certain achievement in their life, like especially for men, they have that. And it's understandable, it's part of a man's nature to want to be the bread earner and, but I think a lot of times that what happens is that people wrap up their identities in how much money they make. And so they just get into this like frozenness where they can't really move on in life and have a relationship. They feel like they can't. And so that's some of the blocks that we could try to address today. And like I said before, we're having a workshop here. This is just the interview part of it. All right. So, what else? I think we've pretty much covered a lot of ground here today. What do you think, Nicole?
Yeah, I think just one thing I want to add on top of this, not just their identity, but their self-worth. Like their self-worth, so many people, I used to have this problem. Your self-worth is just tied to how much money you make. So if you're not making much money, you just feel so bad about yourself. But in reality, it has nothing to do with who you are as a person. And so I think that's a huge block that a lot of people come across, whether they know it or not. It might be really deep down, or maybe if they're making good money, they don't feel it until they don't make good money anymore. But yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to stop now the podcast, and anyone who's listening to the podcast, thank you for listening. Let's just tell them how they can get a hold of us, and then we're going to start the workshop that we're here for. Okay, so my website is spiritualfitness.coach, and I offer a ebook when you go there. It's about eliminating fear from your life. It's about some spiritual principles, and you can get that. And then also you can join me for a free initial consultation, and whatever issue is going on in your life, I can energy check that and kind of get to the root cause, it tell you what I feel energetically, where it's coming from. So that's what we do in the initial free consultation. Nicole?
Awesome. Yeah. So my website is just my first and last name, NicolePoulton.com. Super easy. I offer free consultations. In the consultation, I like to just get to know you, where you're at and your problem points and where you want to go. Really, it's a two-way partnership. I'm not looking to just like take your money and run kind of thing. I want to be certain that I can actually help you. So understanding where you're at is like very important for me. If financial coaching isn't going to benefit you, like I don't want you to put that investment down. I don't want you to have to waste. It's not a waste of time, but sometimes if you're not ready for coaching, that happens. But if coaching is great, then we'll move along on that journey. I also have, I have a lot of free resources, but it might be something that you have to like reach out and ask for, just because everyone's situation, like I've said, everyone has such a unique financial situation. And I want to be able to best serve you. Like who you are, where you are is so different than any of my other clients. So getting to know you on a personal level is going to be the best way for us to really work together. So that's the website, NicolePoulton.com. But then you could also email me at support@NicolePoulton.com. Super simple, just my name.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you all for listening to the podcast.